Welcome to Mystery Date, where we dive into the weird, the wild, and the downright puzzling. While our podcast is primarily for entertainment with plenty of laughs along the way, we occasionally discuss serious and sensitive topics. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners, so discretion is advised.
Off the coast of Nova Scotia lies a small tree-covered island. Remote, quiet, nothing flashy. But dig a little deeper, literally, and you'll uncover one of the strangest, most expensive, and most cursed treasure hunts in history. They call it Oak Island. Since the late 1700s, people have been trying to solve its puzzle. A pit that floods itself. Cryptic stones. Coconut fibers buried in Canadian soil. Millions spent, lives lost, and yet still no treasure. Over 200 years, 6 deaths, 0 definitive answers. Is something actually buried down there? A pirate's hoard? The Holy Grail? A centuries-old prank with phenomenal commitment to the bit? This week, we grab our shovels, dodge a few curses, and dive headfirst into the enigma of Oak Island. The island that refuses to give up its secrets.
I'm Christian.
I'm Kate. Welcome to Mystery Date.
It's date night, meaning we get to talk about all things mysterious and weird.
This season is called Into the Woods, and it involves mysteries surrounding woods, forests, and jungles all around our world.
Tonight's mystery is all about the Oak Island treasure.
Get comfy, grab your favorite drink, and let's start the show.
Just doing ginger ale today. It looks like champagne, though. It looks nice.
It's masquerading.
Yeah, taking it easy. We're recording on my birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday,
Thank
babe.
you. Thank you. Turned 28.
Hello. Welcome to your late 20s.
Yeah, exiting out of the mid-20s. 30s right around the corner.
I just want to say, I kind of hate how much people talk crap about how, like, life is all downhill after 25 or after 30. Like, I, for one, am excited for my 30s. I think we're going to have a grand fucking time in our 30s.
Me too. I mean, despite the actual aging part, I feel like everything in life is kind of like settling out for us, so that's good.
Right. I mean,
I'm not looking forward to aging and my back hurting more.
Obviously, the older we get, the more our backs hurt, and the more it's like, man, why can't I sleep well anymore?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm not looking forward to all the bad stuff about aging. But like we said, everything's kind of coming to a nice ease of life. Not that everything's super easy in the sense, but
yeah.
Hopefully the 30s is something good to look forward to.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think we're going to, like I said, I think we're going to have a very grand 30s time. We're going to have adventures and live our dink life to the fullest.
Yes, that's dual income, no kids, by the way, because it does sound a little sexual.
It does kind of sound like some weird, I don't know, like, some kink or something.
Yes, it does.
It's not part of the LGBTQ spectrum.
No.
It's just an acronym, people.
Anyways, tonight we're talking all about Oak Island. Besides the intro, have you ever heard anything too much about this? I know I talked to you a little bit about it as I've researched, and anything other than that?
No.
Easy enough, like most of them. That's how we like it, though, because you kind of take over the eye of the audience who hasn't heard this before. You get to chime in with the stuff that they don't get to scream at me.
I'm very curious. So I think I always take us down a lot of rabbit holes with my questioning and theories and stuff. But I am excited to learn about it because it's off the coast of, or part of, Nova Scotia.
Yes, it is.
And
which
we were just there.
Yeah, we were just on a cruise there to Halifax, which is very near it. They're both on the southern coast, pretty much, of Nova Scotia.
Which is Canada.
Yes.
For those of you who are unfamiliar.
Yes.
But it was beautiful. It was really, really pretty up there. And so I'm like, ooh, treasure hunt.
Yeah, we loved it. It was gorgeous. So much wilderness. And even in like the middle of Halifax, one of their urban centers, it was just, there's still so much forestry and lively trees that clearly
Yeah.
weren't planted there to just be trees for the planting. They've been there. The city is built into just the wilderness there. It's
Yeah,
really
it's like
cool.
built with the existing landscape rather than here, which is like, everything's flattened and paved. And
Yeah.
then they like put a few trees here and there so that we can still have some oxygen and less flooding problems. But yeah, it was really cool. Like, I'm excited to hear the story because I feel like I'll be picturing Peggy's Cove in Nova Scotia,
Yeah.
like these little islands and foresty places. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Well,
I'll be able to picture this one.
yeah, because you've been there.
I've kind of been there, not to Oak
Yeah, we
Island
didn't go to Oak
specifically, but we were close.
Oak Island is a quiet, forested island just off the southern coast of Nova Scotia, Canada. To the untrained eye, it looks pretty ordinary, but for over 200 years, it's been the site of one of the longest, most expensive, and most confounding treasure hunts in history.
Much like El Dorado
Yes, this
from
one,
earlier this season.
honestly, this one reminds me a lot of just like a modern kind of, obviously different stories, different end goals, but a modern take on what happened with El Dorado. So if you kind of like this episode, be sure to go check out that one. People have been digging at Oak Island since the 1790s, so it's been pretty active for quite a while. They've found coconut fibers, which this is Canadian soil, hand-built flood tunnels, inscribed stones with cryptic messages, and even human bones buried 160 feet below the surface.
You think they were just like really paranoid of grave robbers?
I mean, it could be, yeah. I think it's
Bury
the
them
treasure,
as
so
deep as you can. That's funny.
yeah. There's actually a theory that kind of goes into that, and we'll talk about it.
It is interesting, like the coconut fibers in Canada,
Yeah, they get even more interesting too, which
in Nova Scotia.
we'll talk about.
It is an island,
Not a tropical
but not a
island.
tropical island. Look, man, I don't know Pangea.
It's not that old. Spoiler
Well,
alert.
also, like, you've got the map, and then it's like Hawaii's off that side of California, and like Nova Scotia is up here on this side, like close by New York. Like, they're totally, I don't know. There's tropics in different areas of the world, obviously. But
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine palms
No, I don't think
in a place like Nova Scotia.
I don't think the coconut fibers were naturally occurring.
Pretty cold up there.
When it comes to Oak Island, though, I mean, it's pretty much asking the question of what they haven't found. And that's the actual treasure that's claimed to be there. Not definitively, anyway. But what keeps the mystery alive isn't just the hope of gold or the whisper of ancient manuscripts. It's the eerie feeling that something or someone doesn't want this treasure to be found. Maybe it's the supposed curse that 7 people must die before the island gives up its secrets, which we're already at 6, by the way. We'll cover that. Or maybe it's the fact that every major excavation seems to end in disaster, bad weather, or mysteriously rising seawater. This episode, we're going to dive into the full story, the origins of this mystery, the wild theories, and the eerie accidents and modern-day TV shows that have kind of turned digging holes into a surprisingly compelling drama. Along the way, though, we're going to ask big questions, like why would anyone bury treasure over 100 feet deep with booby-trapped flood tunnels? Who had the technology to build a saltwater trap centuries ago? And most importantly, after 200 years, is there actually anything going on down there? So we're going to get into the origins of this mystery. It all started in 1795, when a teenager named Daniel McGinnis was exploring Oak Island and spotted something pretty strange. It was a circular depression in the ground beneath an old oak tree. Nearby, a sawed-off branch had rope marks like it had once held a block and tackle used to lower something heavy into the earth, which is exactly the kind of thing that screams, dig here if you dare.
Yeah, could have been like a well.
I mean, yeah, but it's kind of on an abandoned island almost.
Obviously, we ain't always abandoned. Now was it?
Well, I mean, that's where the mystery comes in. If you find a big kind of depressed crater, you might be like, huh.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that it's not like, oh, yeah, I would be curious and start thinking too, but my first thought would be like, oh, there probably used to be a well here. There probably was, some sort of community here.
I don't think you can have wells on an island because it's seawater.
Maybe they drank salt water in this tribe.
No, they didn't. In this tribe.
Well, whatever. Community, this group, whoever the fuck lived here and built this weird little circle with a dumbwaiter in a tree.
Back to the story. Naturally, McGinnis grabbed two of his friends, John Smith and Anthony Vaughn.
Why is it always a John Smith?
I mean, that's just like the two most popular names in this area.
It's the doctor every time.
I'm here for that. I mean, there's a lot of mysteries going on that involve John Smiths.
It's true. Doctor Who is full of mysteries as well.
Once McGinnis got John Smith and Anthony Vaughn, the trio began to dig. And just a few feet down, they struck a layer of flagstones. And beneath that, oak log platforms spaced every 10 feet. So at 10 feet, 20 feet, and 30 feet down. The soil was disturbed like it had been packed and repacked, and they found pickaxe marks that lined the walls of this shaft. By 30 feet down, the boys started to get kind of a creeping dread feeling and didn't know if they should really continue on. But maybe it was superstition, maybe it was intuition, or maybe they just realized that they were 30 feet into a pit on a supposedly haunted island. Either way, they backed off and abandoned the dig. But the hook was set. Word got out and theories started flying. Could that have been pirate gold? A secret military vault? What was this 30 feet deep shaft that seemingly continued on? One story said that McGinnis had heard a deathbed confession from a sailor in Captain Kidd's crew, who was a reported pirate of that time, revealing that 2 million euros in treasure had been hidden on the island. Whether that story came before or after the digging is up for debate. But either way, the seed was planted and Oak Island was officially a treasure island. The three friends eventually bought the land and brought in help to continue this search. So they were pretty committed. I mean, you're just out there one day, you find a crevice, you go get your two buddies, you guys start digging, find all this weird shit, and then you're like, you know what?
This is our mission now.
Buy the
We're
land.
buying the island. We're going to hire professional excavation teams, and we are doing this.
All of this in like the 1800s.
What is down there, damn it?
And he was a teenager. I mean, I know like, time progresses and whatever, but he was young when all of this.
Yeah. I mean, hey, when you think about it, though, most people in history were younger than we think of them.
Yeah,
like
that's
the
true.
founding fathers were all like 19 to 24 or something.
No,
at the
they
time.
were all
like
younger,
they
yeah.
were all like teenagers and college-aged kids.
Which is crazy that this is like right around that time too. Like, I mean, obviously it's after that stuff was dying down, but the War of
Yeah,
1812 was around the corner and tensions were still crazy high. And you had these kids that are
and
like, treasure hunt.
yeah, people are like, all right, Goonies.
I mean, I guess it was a ripe age for pirates. I mean, piracy was on the downtrend, but still, like all of those famous pirates you've heard of, like Captain Kidd, Blackbeard, all of those ones, they did travel these waters theoretically, and what we're told in stories and whatnot. So,
Is this by chance the story that inspired Treasure Island, the book? Because I feel like that was written in the 1800s or early 1900s.
I'm sure he.
And it's, I mean, you know the story of Treasure
I'm sure
Island,
he took
right?
inspiration from that, but the Treasure of Oak Island kind of was a local mystery for a very long time. It did eventually seek outside people, but it was almost like because it's a small island off the coast of it, and essentially an island itself, or a peninsula, whatever. Nova Scotia
and that's
is.
true. We're going so far back in time, like communication was way different and took longer.
So
back then.
he might have heard. I'm not gonna say no. If you know more, please, like we always say, that would be awesome to find out if there's like a definitive link.
Yeah.
But as from what I got, a lot of the stuff we know about Oak Island from this origin are kind of just word of mouth at this point because of how old it was. And it was basically these three friends buying land. And I'm sure at the time they weren't going around really.
I mean, yeah, they probably weren't exactly trying to spread word about it too much because they were hoping they might find something and then they'd be able to take the credit or the claim to it.
Nowadays, there is some for sure media inspiration that's come from. I can dive into that. And I mean, again, who knows if Treasure Planet
Or Treasure Island, the inspiration for Treasure Planet.
Like, the later iterations, I mean,
But,
of
well, yeah,
those
that's
treasure,
true.
yeah, of those, maybe heard of the story and tapped into some
Yeah.
of that. But yeah,
Just a little curious thought. I like that story and that book and all of its little movie renditions.
I love it. So outside of the 2 million euros in treasure that had supposedly been hidden on the island, whether that story came before or after digging is, like I said, up for debate. A lot of this stuff is kind of secondary reporting here.
Still, that's a lot of money even
Yes.
today.
Even more today. I mean,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, even if it was just 2 million euros today, that's still a lot of money.
yeah.
But, like, yeah, back then, 2 million euros worth?
Yeah.
Back
I actually
then?
don't know if it was euro. I feel really stupid. I should have looked
Well,
that up.
they
but I'm not too worried.
they probably converted it to euros so that we would have an actual understanding of how
Yeah.
much it is.
This is
Yeah,
a
I'm
lot
sure
of the,
at the time, whatever this treasure is probably isn't in one form of value anyway. You
Yeah,
know, it's
exactly,
probably like,
exactly.
oh, here's some gold, here's some silver, here's some whatever, yada yada. So it's probably an estimate of like, okay, this is what it would have been valued at if this is the currency we were going by.
yes.
That's usually what these kinds of things end up doing if they're going to put numbers like that out there.
One of the earliest and most interesting figures to show up was Samuel Ball, a formerly enslaved man from South Carolina who bought property on the island and somewhat mysteriously became one of its wealthiest landowners.
Good for him.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Some speculate that he may have quietly found part of the treasure himself and kept it a secret. Whether that's true or not, it just adds to the legend. That can't be confirmed.
Yeah.
But you do, I mean, that's pretty cool. He moves in and all of a sudden he becomes one of the most wealthy people. Maybe he did find some treasure. And if he did, good for him.
Yeah.
And why share it?
Yeah.
From here on out, this mysterious hole would eventually be dubbed the Money Pit. It was the beginning of what would become the longest, weirdest, and most frustrating game of hot and cold in history. They walked away empty-handed during all of this, but they just opened the first chapter of a mystery that would entangle generations to come. And that leads us to the 19th century treasure fever that occurred around this Oak Island.
Treasure fever. I like that.
Yeah. By the early 1800s, word of the Money Pit had spread, and investors were itching to strike rich. In 1804, a group called the Onslow Company returned to Oak Island, bringing professional diggers, funding, and high hope. They passed the 30-foot mark that the teens had reached and kept going. Every 10 feet, they found another oak platform, but things got weirder. At 40 feet, there was a layer of charcoal, and at 50 feet, putty. At 60 feet, coconut fiber. That's right, the coconut fiber. In coastal Canada. A pretty northern region to find that.
Yeah. Especially like, what, 50, 60 feet down?
Yes, 60 feet down at that point, yeah.
And also on or below
On these
a
oak
layer of an
platforms.
oak
Yes, yes.
platform. Like,
This suggested that someone imported tropical materials, possibly as part of a water filtration system, which was either genius or deeply cursed, or both.
that would make sense, though. I mean, the different layers of wood
With
and
charcoal.
coal and putty and coconut, like that does make sense that maybe it was some sort of well
Mm-hmm.
with a filtration system to purify
It does kind of lead into that, yeah.
I mean, we talk about this all the time, but like ancient, and this isn't even ancient, it's just long ago history, civilization, they were more advanced than we often give them credit for. Just because they didn't have things like the internet and electricity or indoor plumbing, perhaps, doesn't mean they didn't understand things like water filtration and irrigation and like herbal medicine and things like that, anatomy even. I mean, they were studying the stars and figuring out that the earth revolves around
Yeah.
the sun pretty dang early. Like, I'm just saying, it's very possible that it really was just a well with a water filtration system.
Oh no, especially with, like you said, when you add these compounding layers of
Yeah.
charcoal, putty, coconut fibers, it really does kind of give itself into a type of filter.
But of course, at that time, if you're not from a community that has something like that, especially you're like Coconut, like we don't have that here. What the fuck? You're probably just confused, and of course, it sparked mystery and
Yes. It is still
curiosity.
interesting that it's 60 feet down.
Yeah. I
Like-
mean, they probably had to dig pretty deep to get to the water source.
But I don't know.
I don't know.
ignorant. Yeah, I'm ignorant to how the water filtration system would work, but I feel like it has to flow through the charcoal and the putty and like, you know what I mean? Like flow through it. But I feel like with the well, it would just kind of rise above it and wouldn't really.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a good thought. Back to the story. At around 90 feet, they unearthed a large, flat stone with strange symbols carved into it. Later translations of questionable accuracy, you know how things are in these stories, claimed that it said 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. I knew it was in there. That's why I was like, no, I wrote it. Like at one point, I wrote what the currency was. I just forgot what the goddamn symbol was.
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't say England. I would have known.
I should have known. I mean, that's where a lot of privateers and stuff were coming out of. So even if it wasn't a pirate, I should have known.
It still use pounds today.
Yes. So 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. Naturally, this pretty much spiked the excitement around this whole money pit.
Of course.
And then it flooded. Overnight, water rushed in up to the 30-foot mark. So that's 60 feet of water. Bailing it out didn't work. It just kept coming. Digging a side shaft didn't work. Just kept pouring in. Every attempt was blocked by a deluge of water, seemingly from nowhere. Imagine, you're just digging, huddled around lanterns, and you just hear like the ground begin to kind of shake around you. And then you just see black water that comes seeping up from the ground below because of all the charcoal and all this filter stuff.
Yeah.
As if the island was saying, I'm turning you back. Right after finding that quote.
You're like, oh my gosh, 2 million pounds? Only 30 more feet below us right now? Oh my God. Grab your pickaxe. We got to keep wait, what the is this black? Oh my God, it's rising. Oh, dude, we got to get out of here.
Yeah,
Holy crap, like we're going to drown.
Like, that's horrifying.
Yeah, that's some cool horror movie shit though.
Oh yeah. So the Onslow Company didn't give up at this.
Of course
and
not.
They weren't the last to attempt this.
Of course not.
Oh, my bad. I read that wrong. The Onslow Company gave up.
Losers.
I love it. Support me no matter what. So they gave up, but they wouldn't be the last. In 1849, the Truro Company picked up the shovel.
Eileen Truro, hey, Truro. Sorry,
I could be saying that wrong, but it doesn't really matter. Another company came in and attempted the same thing. Spoiler alert, this isn't going to go well.
Who would have thunk?
If it went well, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah.
So this new company came in and they knew better than to just dig blind because of what happened to this last expedition, essentially. So they bored exploratory holes beforehand. Once at 98 feet, they hit something strange. It was wood, then metal, then a void. Nothing. They pulled up bits of chain and even what looked like 3 tiny gold links. Was this the treasure vault? I mean, I could see it. After all this digging, you hear the 40 feet below, you come in, you're like, we're just going to mop up after these guys. Let's dig some side tunnels, see what we can get. And all of a sudden you pull out a chain. Something's there.
Does seem tempting.
Yeah, something's there. Excited by this chain, they tried digging a new shaft to reach it, but the water came up again. This time they noticed something even weirder. The floodwater rose and fell with the ocean tides. So following the clues, they investigated the shoreline, and at Smith's Cove nearby, they uncovered a complex system of 5 stone box drains packed with coconut fiber and eelgrass. These drains funneled seawater into the money pit through a hidden flood tunnel. So this wasn't a sinkhole. It seemed to be a trap.
Or again, a type of well.
But if it's a well, it would
It's-
have to have almost a defined bottom. The fact that it has these traps flooding it from one level down and it
But that's-
continues on.
But they had that dumbwaiter system from the tree
Yeah.
originally, and they're purposefully using it with the tide, so whenever the tide comes in, it floods up, and they can use their dumbwaiter, reach down and collect the water. It's been filtered at the end that comes out at the drain
Yeah.
and along the platforms.
I mean, yeah, I could see that
And
still.
the chain is probably a broken off piece of the chain that was attached to the tree, used to pull up the water.
Again, but it begs the question of why would you put a well here?
If they lived there and they needed fresh water, and they knew how to filter.
I don't think there had been reported people living here in a long time.
But
And irrigation like that is somewhat new at this time.
I guess, but again, just because there's no reported or documented people living there, or that these new people don't know about, it doesn't mean that no one's ever been there.
No, I mean, you're right. I'm sure
The
people could have been there.
1790s is only a little bit ago. Human history goes back far.
No, I understand that, but to have a metal chain with gold links already, the smithy and the forgery that goes behind that dates it.
Yeah, the metal does put it in a specific time frame. You're right, but still, I mean, metal existed before the 1790s. Like, I don't know.
Not like Smith like that, I don't think. Not chain links, especially to take gold and like fix that into a chain link.
Was it confirmed gold, or was it just what looked like gold? Because it could have also been tarnished from water and time.
I believe it was actual gold that they found that time. The
Okay.
3 chain links.
Okay.
And it was, again, like links of the chain that had been gilded, essentially.
Okay.
So like, you wouldn't do that as just a coastal island town.
Fair. Sorry, I'm such a skeptic. I'm like, come on, guys. This is still so obviously just an irrigation, like watering. This is just for water.
Well, and like, to be honest, though, you also got to think about it like this. When we went to Nova Scotia, there are rivers everywhere.
That's true.
Like, you wouldn't build a 90-something foot deep irrigation
Well,
system.
and the island is that small, and it's,
Yeah, it's
not,
really not
that
that
far
big.
off the coast of Nova Scotia. It's like, why would you choose to settle there if you knew there was no water supply there when the rest of Canada is right there with
Yeah.
tons of rivers and lakes? I guess that's fair too.
I don't know, but I'm not discrediting the well.
Yeah.
That's still a solid theory.
I don't know.
So despite their efforts to block the flood tunnels that they've discovered, it was pretty much game over. The money pit even collapsed further, and by 1851, the Truro Company was out of cash and out of luck. They had nothing left. Still, the legend only grew, and newspapers dubbed it the Oak Island Folly, mocking the failure but secretly fascinated. And the coconut fiber, it was later tested by the Smithsonian, and it was real coconut, likely centuries old. So that was just pretty much all confirmed. Though the actual dating has not been 100% confirmed, it's still pretty much weird. And that's, I mean, they can't, like, unless you carbon date it, which I don't think they're going to spend the money to do that, there's no 100% way of knowing. But when they had people look at it, it's supposed to be around centuries old and is a 100% coconut. So they were at least imported there. That's what's strange too. Is
Yeah,
where
that
would these
is
island
strange.
people get coconut? Now that I'm thinking about it,
Yeah.
they would
Well,
have to
yeah,
have a
it's
trade
like-
system set up.
If you're already having a trade system, you have boats, you have
Yeah.
like just go somewhere with fresh water rather than going through all this trouble to make this
To
irrigation.
make a well that you can only get out when the tide.
when the tide is high.
So
That's
like it's
true,
also not
too.
that efficient of a system.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is a good one.
Yeah. Hmm.
So in the 1860s, the Oak Island Association gave it another go. That's right, the Oak Island Association. People are naming full-on companies after this
I
now.
was gonna say, did they start this company just for this, I assume? Since that's what they're called?
I actually didn't look into them too much, but no, I don't
That's-
believe so. I'm pretty sure they're like a protection thing of the island.
Oh, okay.
They're now dipping their toes into this because it's on the island. They cleared out the pit and dug new shafts, and tragedy struck once again. A boiler used to pump out water exploded and it killed one worker. The first fatality in the Oak Island hunt. And shortly after, the pit collapsed once again. And by 1864, the project was all but abandoned. Then came the whispers of a curse, because of course there was.
Yeah, if there's a hidden buried treasure somewhere on an island, there's obviously a curse too.
And there were rumors too. I didn't really mention it too much before because it doesn't really play too much into the story, but like legend has it Oak Island is a haunted island.
Sure.
There's tons of different reasons, tons of ghost stories and sightings. That's why we're not that. If you want to look into that, you can spend some time doing it. It is pretty neat. But yeah, it is like a supposed urbanly haunted or locally haunted area that people will go explore.
Maybe it's a
At least at this time.
Yeah, maybe it's a thin spot over there.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
A little thin spot in the veil of the realms and dimensions.
Maybe that's where you dig down and you cross over into the upside down. So this curse, it was stated that 7 people must die before the treasure is found.
And stated by whom, we probably don't know, I'm assuming.
Now, the actual suggestion of a curse doesn't have actual ties to the mystery at this point in time at all. The curse is said to have been added to the story decades after the activity in the 1800s. There's no actual documented account of people talking about it. They could have, but it seems to be something that was added on.
Yeah. It was a hypothesis of speculators later on. Of like, why did these missions keep going askew? Why did it only flood when they weren't ready for it, even though they were watching the tides? Why did that thing explode? Like, you know, maybe that's what they were looking for answers. And that was what they came to. They figured, the original guys did wonder if pirates had buried something. I wonder if there's a curse too.
I mean,
because
one in one pirates
curse, because
of course
pirates are witches now. I don't really know why those go hand in hand. I don't
honestly. Pirates of the Caribbean really jumped
because of the curse of the Black Pearl and the medallion.
Even though it should be called the curse of like the Aztecs.
Yeah,
the Black Pearl isn't cursed.
It's the crew,
it's not the curse of.
Yeah, it's like the curse of the OG crew of that ship.
It's the curse of like the Aztec gold.
Well, yeah.
But that,
and all the people who had it. So like, yeah, it really is like the Aztecs curse.
Which sounds kind of badass. Pirates of the Caribbean, the Aztecs curse. That could have been that could have been good. I mean, it's still good. It's still great.
You can still have the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
What a tangent.
By the end of the 1800s, one death had already been logged and the island didn't seem finished. But even that didn't stop the search, because of course it wouldn't. Lives lost, why care about that?
There's treasure afoot.
Yes. Now this company we're going to talk about was created specifically for this, and I know that because of its name. In 1890s, the Oak Island Treasure Company drilled deeper than ever. They pulled up a fragment of parchment from over 150 feet down bearing the letters VI or UI in India ink. They also found traces of gold. More. The treasure fever was back, but once again, flooding and technology limitations ended the dig, and by 1899, yet another company had failed. I don't think you really pivot your company at that point.
I mean, yeah. That's too big of a rebrand. You gotta just close and start something new if you want to stay a businessman, but...
At this point in the story, Oak Island had more tunnels than Swiss cheese. If there was a treasure, someone should have tripped into it by now. I mean, come on, guys.
Every single one of these companies going in and digging more and more side tunnels and little access, flood, exit routes, and etc. Like, each one of them is digging further down and more side tunnels. Like, it should look like the movie Holes in there, where they have a whole fortress with like a freaking bridge. Like, why have they not found anything?
Literally.
Probably nothing there.
So now we're going to get into the 20th century, trials and tragedies that would follow the money pit.
Ooh, somebody's going to court. Not that kind of trial.
No. Well, there is some law. We'll get into it. I don't think that's what my title. That's not what I was going for with the title. But
as soon as I said it, I realized you said trials and tribulations.
I said trials and tragedies.
Oh, tragedies. Okay. I was like, no, that sounds like a phrase. Like, I think I misunderstood.
So now we're gonna get to 1909, and we're gonna have a kind of a influential figure enter the field now. And that's
It was me.
yes, Kate. She was again alive at this time and was also TB Cooper. You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
No, it was Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Okay.
A young Franklin D. Roosevelt, actually. Years before becoming president, he joined the Old Gold Salvage and Wrecking Company, one of the many teams obsessed with solving the Oak Island puzzle. Led by Captain Henry Bowden, the group redug the pit to 113 feet, and they sent divers into the murky depths and tried to make sense of decades of failure. Spoiler, they also failed. But they did verify that the infamous flood tunnels at Smith's Cove and examined the original inscribed stone, which Bowden dismissed as just a smooth slab of basalt. So that apparently 40 feet down that was inscribed on that stone.
They're like, there was nothing inscribed on that stone.
He's like,
It
that's just a smooth thing of...
yeah, they're like, if anything, it just, like, it's got some erosion. Like, it's not perfectly flat. It's got a little bit of a curve here or there.
So we're
'Cause,
getting
you
some
know,
holes.
it's a rock.
And erosion if it's filling with
That's what I'm
water all the time.
saying,
Like, there's
like-
no way. Maybe after all of their attempts, if it really was a trap that's only to set off after all these people are doing it, it did erode the rock.
I was going to say, maybe it did originally say something,
Yeah.
too, because this is also
This is years later.
almost
at this point.
100 years later. So that's a long time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for water to just seawater, too.
Yeah,
Salt water
it
just
could be
ripping it
that
up.
there once were a cryptic message there. But again, we don't know if that translation was true.
Yeah, none of these translations we know.
Yeah.
So apparently no symbols, no code, just a big boring rock laying at the bottom of this pit. And fun fact, FDR remained fascinated with Oak Island though for the rest of his life. He even planned a secret visit in 1939 but had to cancel when World War II broke out. Apparently the only thing scarier than Nazi Germany was trying to outsmart the money pit.
Well, I'd probably say the only thing more pressing than solving the money pit was stopping the Nazis. But that is very interesting though. What, the Roosevelts were so cool.
Yeah. It does seem that way. I feel like
I just feel like
there might be some historical stuff. that
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know,
I'm
but
sure there's things about them that were not
surface
cool.
layer.
Yeah, I'm sure there were plenty of things about them that were not cool. But I do feel like every new historical fact I learn about FDR or Teddy Roosevelt is like, man, like what a badass. Like
Yes.
what
Oh,
a like
take everything out. Like even if they were horrible people, which they might have been, they were still the stuff they did was objectively badass. I'm not saying they're a good person or whatever, but what they did and what you read about, it was just that's badass.
yeah.
Going to the Amazon, doing all these raids on horseback, like all of it. These were very adventurous guys,
Yeah.
and that's interesting in its own right.
Well,
outside
yeah,
of
that's what I'm
everything.
saying. I'm like, I've always known that they were both kind of adventurous and had a lot of like wild kind of stories attached to them. But treasure hunters, come on, I love it.
That's why this story really fascinated me personally. Like,
Yeah.
it's so interesting. It's like, oh, and I mean, it's still kind of ongoing. So it's like you could go. I think it's private property now, but yeah, you could theoretically go treasure hunting.
You could make another National Treasure movie about
true.
descendants of the Roosevelts
You could.
going after Oak Island treasure.
Disney.
Come on, Nick Cage. I know you got another one in you.
So now we're going to move on to the 1910s and the 1930s when everything kind of settled down a little bit, but it didn't die. People were still just quietly obsessed with this.
Yeah, there was just, other shit going on in the world.
Yes.
No, not as much time for treasure hunting.
Though large-scale digs were paused during this time, the island never left the headlines. And a 1922 New York Times article dubbed it Treasure Island, marveling at the engineering marvels that kept defeating even the most seasoned diggers. So honestly, at this point, I'm wondering if they kind of dubbed it mostly Treasure Island from the story.
Maybe.
Because it's 1922 right now, and this is when like the New York Times is picking it up and talking about
Yeah.
it almost kind of internationally, and that's when they're calling it Treasure Island. But again, I'm not saying that he personally might have heard about this story. Then came William Chappell. In 1931, he dug a new shaft and unearthed real artifacts at 127 feet. A miner's pick, an axe, and a hand-forged anchor flute, and even an old oil lamp. So now we're really dating it.
Okay.
One of the tools was traced back all the way to Cornwall, England. Maybe from early treasure hunters or someone far older, because you can't rule that out at this point anymore either. It's been so long that some of the stuff you might be pulling out could be from other people trying to dig down here.
That's true. There was a lot of floods and collapses, things that definitely could have taken some of their equipment with
Even
it.
deeper than they went.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, another treasure hunter, Gilbert Hedden, was so obsessed that he made 6 trips to Oak Island, searched for secret Templar maps in England, and even got King George VI interested in all this. So in 1936, Hedden discovered a massive triangle of stones arranged on the southern shore, which he believed was a directional marker pretty much pointing directly to the money pit.
And no one else noticed this before?
No, people might have noticed them, but by 1936, with so all these eyes on it, and he's a surveyor, he's going there, he's not really looking at the money pit. He's going around being like, well, let's check out the island. And then people might have noticed the stones, but they just never might have put 2 and 2 together because they're kind of, they're unassuming stones. It's not like they're like perfectly square chiseled in this triangle or whatever, but they're all kind of formed into that shape and pointing in that direction. So again, people probably saw them, just didn't put 2 and 2 together. Or somebody later on built it.
Yeah, one of those failure companies was like, I am going to find one more investor and come back.
Yeah, literally.
I need to find my way.
Puts all these fucking stones down.
A little arrow.
So at this point, by the end of the 1930s, Oak Island had officially become a full-blown global obsession. It left this kind of zeitgeist of the local urban legends, and now it's just everyone kind of has their eyes on Oak Island. But World War II was kind of right around the corner, and that slowed a lot of things down. But by 1949, Oak Island got another twist. A nearby well that was being drilled, its workers suddenly hit a familiar layer of logs and rocks just 2 feet down, similar to what they're finding on the pit. So was there a second money pit, a decoy, a clue, maybe another well? Maybe they are setting up these irrigation systems throughout the area? Who knows? But that's pretty much all that was discovered during this decade. And moving on to the 1960s, Oak Island really hits the mainstream when it was featured in a Reader's Digest, and it introduced the mystery to millions, including a young Michigan boy named Rick Lagina. Remember him because he'll be important later on. One of the darkest days in Oak Island history came on August 17th, 1965, when treasure hunter Robert Riestall, who had been living on the island with his family since 1959, was working in a new shaft at Smith's Cove when he was overcome by a gas, likely hydrogen sulfide or carbon monoxide, but he collapsed. His 18-year-old son, Robert Jr., rushed in to save him, and he also collapsed. 2 more workers, Carl Grazier and Cyril Hiltz, followed and suffered the same fate. So all 4 men died that day, making it the deadliest chapter in the island's cursed story. But to some, it was more proof that the Oak Island treasure doesn't want to be found. And in 1966, enters Robert Dunfield, an engineer who came in swinging, literally. He brought a 70-ton crane with a clamshell bucket and tried to excavate the entire money pit area. So by 60s, this dude was like, fuck all of your guys' bullshit.
He's like, get me a fucking crane and just dig the whole thing out.
His dig, unfortunately, He didn't do too much. He did end up building a causeway from the mainland, so that did kind of help out with future expeditions here. And he widened the search zone to 100 feet and dug down over 130 feet deep. So he did do a little bit,
All right.
but not too much discoveries. Just more digging.
He just enlarged the pit.
Yes. His dig was massive, dramatic, expensive, but again, ultimately futile. It's man versus nature, and a lot of the times in these mysteries, we always find that nature wins. So moving on to some modern tech and this mystery in the modern age. In the year 1967, Oak Island's new treasure team was formed, and it was called the Triton Alliance, led by veteran digger Dan Blankenship and financier David Tobias.
I know a guy named Dan Blankenship.
Interesting.
Yeah. Pretty common last name.
It is Blank. Yeah, I think more like honestly, personally, like 3 blank.
Yeah.
Blankenships
Oh, I
in
know.
the
I
area.
know several, and I don't think any of them are related. So.
Yeah, my dad was a treasure hunter. So the Triton Alliance bought most of the island and tried a new approach: high-tech digs. Well, high-tech for the 1960s. Their biggest hope was borehole 10X, and it was a deep shaft with a steel casing that went down 235 feet. Yeah, when they lowered in an underwater camera, they saw something wild. It looked like chests, tools, and maybe even human remains in an underground chamber. So they pretty much had this side hole. That's where they dug this down, because it was a borehole. It wasn't
Okay.
enough for anyone to really explore down. It was just a deep single hole. So they dropped this camera down to try to see. And they claimed they saw chests, tools, and again, human remains in an underground chamber. So that's pretty big. Pretty exciting.
And it's not the same area where those guys died of like gas poisoning.
Not in that same area. No, this
Okay.
is just another side hole. That was off in Smith's Cove, which is near it, but it's not the direct, like, Oak Island where this money pit is.
It's not the pit.
No. When they lowered... Oh, I already said that. The camera footage, though, it was too grainy for anyone really to confirm anything outside of the expedition. And I have a picture here. I'll show you it.
Oh boy.
What's circled is supposed to be a chest, and like if we're talking Minecraft, yeah, it might look like a chest. I'll post this in the episode, obviously.
This doesn't look like anything.
No.
That looks like a rock
Yeah, I don't
sitting
know.
in the sand or on another rock. Like it does not look like anything.
And they weren't able to recover anything from
Yeah.
their mission either.
And
so.
they're watching this camera footage live as it's going down, and they're like, oh my god, treasure chests, human skulls, holy crap, this might be it, boys. The fuck are you seeing? This looks like an ultrasound picture, but like when someone's not pregnant. Like they're just checking to see if you like have something wrong, like you came in for stomach pain.
Yeah.
Like this literally just looks like an ultrasound picture of like your gas bubbles in someone's stomach. There's nothing.
There's nothing. I see nothing.
I see nothing. All you overconfident treasure hunting people are always like, we've got something, look at this evidence. And then any outside person looks at it and they're like, yeah, we really can't confirm that, dude. Like, none of us are seeing what you're seeing.
It does get a little bit weirder after this because obviously, like I said, they weren't able to confirm anything, and it unfortunately they didn't come out with anything. So that was kind of a dud. But later on, surveyor Fred Nolan, while kind of again surveying the island, so this isn't a dude necessarily doing the
He's not
This isn't-
necessarily doing treasure hunting or money pit expanding.
yes.
He's just surveying the land and the island in general.
Yeah, exactly. He ended up finding a giant cruciform pattern made of 6 massive boulders stretching across the island. And when you look at it, the shape is eerily symmetrical and unnaturally aligned, but to my eyes, I'm not seeing too much. And I didn't add a picture of this, but I'll show you it. Like, it does look like something interesting, but kind of in the same vein of the arrows. It's like, how long has this been on the island? Did somebody else make this?
Yeah. Does this actually have any correlation or connection to these pits or not?
That's just like highlighting like where they are. So like it does make a cross, like it does.
Yeah. It does.
But it's also like there's just 5
And
boulders.
I mean, they are pretty damn perfectly aligned in that cross.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're also far apart, and I mean, there are patterns in nature sometimes. And again, like we said, you don't know if those rocks were always there, if they were moved by these previous crews and like excavationists.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's the same with the
Yeah.
arrow. You don't really know exactly when that could have been put there. And they do look, some of the rocks, I'll show you a picture of what the rocks themselves look like. So I mean, they're unassuming and they do look old.
Yeah, it's just a boulder. Some moss on it. It's not like some Stonehenge
No.
thing. Like it's just a boulder.
So with that though, with this cross discovery, more theories exploded and people just kind of, again, reignited this interest in this.
Naturally.
Unfortunately though, while the theories exploded, also did tempers, because Nolan and Blankenship ended up in legal battles over land rights. And by the end of the 1990s, Oak Island was stuck in a stalemate. There were more lawsuits than treasure maps at this point. But still, some hope lingered, and through the years, you had some other organizations and some other companies taking a little bit of a look at it, but nothing really too concrete was found, or there were no real headways made in this mystery during this time. But we're going to enter 2005, and that little boy that was reading Reader's Digest, when he heard this story many years ago, Rick and Marty Lingina, they were brothers from Michigan, and they were lifelong Oak Island nerds, thanks to that Reader's Digest segment. They teamed up with the island's veteran diggers, and in 2006, they purchased a 50% stake in Oak Island Tours Incorporated and joined forces with Dan Blankenship, who ultimately won a lot of the legal battles. Armed with fresh funding and 21st century tools, from ground-penetrating radar to sonar and borehole imaging, they assembled a team called the Fellowship.
The Fellowship?
Yes, like the Lord of the Rings. And yes, it is that dramatic.
And you have my pickaxe.
Nova Scotia at this time even passed a special Oak Island Treasure Act in 2011 to ensure that any treasure that was found on the island is legally documented and shared. Not shared with the government, but just shared, shown what it is.
Yeah,
and shared,
shared
the
like with
finding.
museums or
Yes.
stuff like that, probably.
So if you do find pirate gold, you better find a government stamp too. After this, we go into kind of a media explosion from 2005. In 2014, you had the History Channel pick this up, and we all know how that can go. In 2014, the Curse of Oak Island premiered, turning the slow, muddy grind of digging into must-watch TV. Suddenly, millions were tuning in to watch old nails, weird rocks, and very excited men yell, "This could be it!" every single episode. We all know how those shows go. They're so
Yeah.
enticing, but it's the same thing every
In
episode.
every episode, they're like, we'll try again next time,
Yep.
boys.
And while the big treasure still to this day remains elusive, they have uncovered more real clues in the past decade than arguably any other team before them. And we're going to make just a little list of these. So there was a 1652 Spanish coin found, and this was found in the season 1 of the show, and it was proof that people with money were on the island before the Money Pit's discovery. So that's pretty big.
Yeah.
And they also found the lead cross, and this was dated to be around from the 1200s to 1400s. It was discovered at Smith's Cove in 2017, and lab tests matched the metal to ore from southern France, and it looked suspiciously Templarish. So that's kind of where some of these theories come in, which I'll have a picture of that.
Ooh. Yeah, that does look pretty Templarish.
Yeah. And this is also where they found the human bones at 160 feet. DNA showed one person was of European descent and the other were Middle Eastern, both dated to be around 1600s and buried in the Money Pit. Then there was the baby blob of gold. Water testing in the boreholes found trace amounts of gold and silver in a concentrated zone. So the team is currently targeting that area. Then there's also the garden shaft. Thought to be from the 1800s, this shaft of wood, though, was dated back to 1735, so decades before the Money Pit was discovered by the teenager. And they also found a gold-plated brooch with a gemstone located on Lot 21, which is nearby. It's the first confirmed gold artifact to be recovered from the island. Not just like gold links or gold
Yeah,
specks or whatever.
but
It's
an actual
thing.
piece.
Yeah. Outside of that, they found some old tools and chest parts. So they found iron spikes, hinges, buttons, parchment straps. Enough to kind of build a spooky museum, but not a fortune. So you could make some money. Some of the stuff was good. Like, they are finding artifacts, but not the big treasure. So at this point, I mean, the Longinos have turned finding rusty junk into an art form and a hit TV show. So maybe the real treasure was just syndication all along. Still, the finds are adding up. Bits of gold, traces of tunnels, and a network of shafts that seem to predate known activity on the island. And unlike past generations, today's diggers are documenting and preserving everything. Even if there's no chest of doubloons, they're piecing together a mystery that does span centuries.
I mean, at the very least, they're finding out which cultures may have been there in the past when they thought it had been previously uninhabited.
I was just about to say,
So even if no treasure ever existed, they're still finding artifacts where it's like, hey, the Spanish were here.
Yep.
Hey, the French were here. Like, this is still history. This is still knowledge.
Well, I was about to say, as of 2025, no treasure chest has surfaced. But for the first time, it does seem like these clues are aligning. Maybe something is beneath Oak Island, and the Fellowship is still digging today, and maybe they'll find it. But again, kind of like you said, at least we're getting more pieces of the puzzle. Even if it's not a massive treasure, we are learning more about this somewhat particular island. Like, people, there was something about this island, regardless of anything. It had visitors. And why?
Yeah. And again, these tunnels and shaft systems with these like platforms and like weird filtration layers, like
even if it
yeah,
was a well,
why?
it's just like, why? What?
Why here?
It's so interesting.
And like, why you here? Why the Spanish? Why the French?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it wasn't them. Maybe it was just their stuff that ended up there. Maybe from pirates
Literally, and that
who
could
had
be it
robbed
too. Yeah.
them. Like, but there's a ton of treasure theories and treasure hunts and things like that related to the Templars. And that one cross did very much look like the Templar cross.
And we'll get into that in one of the theories, which is a good segue.
That is interesting.
Because that's what we're going to talk about now, is theories and speculation around this. That was the mystery, like I said, as of 2025, no treasure, but the Fellowship of the Ring is still digging. Frodo's down there with his pickaxe.
The Fellowship of the Island. Of the Pit.
But for real, I mean, who builds a 100-foot deep shaft filled with booby traps, coconut fiber, and all this other weird shit unless they're hiding something or building something? But what exactly were they building, or what were they hiding? Let's dig into the leading and not so leading theories. There's some weird ones in here, from the plausible to fantastically weird. The first one is the classic, the romantic, pirate treasure.
Of course.
This is the one that launched the whole legend. Oak Island's most enduring theory is that infamous pirates like Captain William Kidd or Blackbeard buried treasure there in the 1600s or 1700s. Mahone Bay nearby was known as Pirate Haven, and Kidd was rumored to have said he hid his loot only where Satan can find it. Honestly, that sounds exactly like something you'd say about a trap-filled pit designed to drown anyone who digs around it.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, hey, I will say, obviously, I was not around at the time, but again, things like curses and pirates, treasure buried and pirates. These are always themes that go together.
Hand in hand, yep.
Stereotypes and folk tales and fairy tales start from something true.
Yeah.
So even if pirates weren't necessarily known to be stealing and burying treasure around and having treasure maps or treasure hunts, one of them, one time, at least claimed to.
Yep.
And thus we have pirate culture of today. Like, so it is one of those things where it's like, hey, this lore exists for a reason.
Oh, yeah. Are you saying that's one for this theory?
Maybe.
So some points that kind of lead to this theory being maybe true is that the coconut fibers, I mean, they're from the tropics. It's kind of known that pirates would sail down the eastern coast of the United States and head into the Gulf of Mexico and all of that area and the Caribbean and hang around. So maybe they were transporting coconuts.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
I mean, yeah, it has truth in the name. There's also buried treasure myths, like the ones with Blackbeard, Captain Kidd. Though there are myths around the island. I'm sure if you ask people today around there if Blackbeard hid treasure, they would probably say, yeah, he visited, even not Oak Island, but yeah, he visited the coasts all the time back in the day. So you have people talking about it. And the fact that pirates were absolutely operating in this area at this time. The case against it is, would pirates really spend months engineering a death trap instead of just tossing a chest in the sand and running? I mean, these guys are kind of like the original run and gun criminals.
Yeah, and
I'm
they
not
were
saying 100% no.
they were often drunkards and or sick.
Sick, really, yeah. I mean, what we know as pirates is extremely romanticized. Pirates started out, this is just a side tangent, as privateers, essentially, which a privateer, if you don't know, is a hired pirate by a government. So during the France and Spanish wars, France would hire privateers to go out and be like, hey, you have a ship. I will pay you for all of the gold. Well, I won't pay you. You'll get gold from Spanish ships by marauding them and stealing from them. Bring it back here. We'll take a cut. You take a cut. That's where pirates originated from. They were, at first,
They were
mostly
hitmen.
law-abiding hitmen. And when civilization kind of progressed and people kind of thought that as a more barbaric take, these pirates were essentially just left on their own. And what do you do when you've spent your entire life on a boat pillaging and raiding? You continue to pillage and raid.
Yeah. And especially if no one else is taking part of your cut anymore.
Exactly. So these people, like, we have a very romanticized version of it. They were mostly criminals who were very bad men.
Yeah.
And women. There were documented women pirates.
They were thieves and aggressively so, and all kinds of other things in the middle.
Yes.
Between arriving at a ship or an island and taking all their stuff with you, who knows what kind of violence or assault went on between.
Exactly.
But the answer is some went on.
100%, yes.
It wasn't actually like Pirates of the Caribbean, where it's like, oh, but Jack Sparrow, he's a good man. He's a pirate and a good man. Like, that was probably very rare in real life.
So moving on from pirates, we're now going to talk about your favorite one, I think, the Knights Templar and sacred relics. This one kind of sounds like a Dan Brown fever dream, but bear with us. Some believe that the Knights Templar, fleeing persecution in the 1300s, made it across the Atlantic with their most sacred relics, possibly the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or even Solomon's treasure. They allegedly buried these items on Oak Island using complex engineering, hence the flood tunnels, stone markers, and secret geometry like Nolan's Cross. And a lot of the evidence that's founded here and cited does kind of point to maybe some activity, whether or not they were burying treasure, but maybe some Templar activity, like the lead cross found at Smith's Cove. It is 14th century French ore, so that all lines up.
Yeah.
Mysterious stone carvings, again, like the intricate work of Templar kind of workings, and weird Masonic-like layouts of some shafts and tunnels throughout there.
Yeah. And they were Masons.
Yes. So the problem with this is that there's no direct evidence of Templars in Nova Scotia, like none. But the theory does feel spooky and sacred almost, so it lives on. And if the Ark of the Covenant is really down there, it's doing a stellar job of avoiding detection. And Nazis.
Yeah.
I don't think Nazis have been to Nova Scotia. So, 1 point there.
I will say there might not be any historically documented activity of the Templars in Nova Scotia, but there's a lot of it in New England, which is only a
Yes.
little bit south of Nova
Yes.
Scotia.
And again, it seems like this whole thing was kind of set up secretively.
Yeah,
So,
secretively and possibly very early.
yeah.
And, okay, this could be nothing because I realize that these movies are fictional. However, I want to note that in the National Treasure movies, the first one, they have that giant shaft that goes down and down and down, and that's where they find the treasure. And in the second movie, they have those flooding tunnels with the secret symbols of the Masons that they have to figure out, like, what's gonna flood
Yeah.
and what's gonna open the gate or stop the flood. And those movies are all about chasing, like, the Knights Templars treasure. Like, that is the treasures that they're hunting
Yeah.
in those movies. So it is just another interesting point that they're portraying these flood tunnels and shafts, and that's exactly what we're talking about here.
I think that's what they meant by the Masonic
Yeah.
layouts. And
That's what I mean. I'm like, it really does feel like a treasure hunt could be afoot,
oh, yeah.
but yeah, it's 2025. We would have found it by now.
So another theory is, I'm going to loosely gloss over this one because we're running a little long and it's not that important. But some people say that this sinkhole or money pit was essentially a burial ground for treasure of empires. Some say that it was British loot from the siege of Havana in 1762. Some say that it was French gold smuggled from the fortress of Louisbourg. And others say that it was a naval pay chests hidden during the time of war. So a lot of people just claim that it's more or less just something that was hidden by a government. I don't like that theory in my own right, though, because all of the stuff that's gone into hiding it, I don't think it's just a simple cache of money for the government or a empire.
Yeah. And again, like there are other simpler ways for them to go about stashing or hiding or keeping money secret than building this elaborate booby-trapped pit that seems a little bit not government-esque.
Exactly. So another theory that I do like, though, and while there's not much credibility to this one, I just like it in general, but it's some claim that Shakespeare's missing manuscripts are located within the pit. So yes, this one's for the literary nerds. I think you might like this.
Why?
There's not much reasoning. In 1953, author Penn Leary suggested that Francis Bacon, who some believe ghost wrote Shakespeare's plays, buried the real manuscripts on Oak Island to protect them or to keep the authorship secret. According to this theory, Bacon's crew, likely Freemasons at the time, built the money pit as a secure vault, and supporters say that symbols from the mysterious 90-foot stone correspond to Baconian ciphers found in Shakespeare's work. There's really not too much to this theory beyond that, and it's pretty much just that, a theory kind of crafted out of nothing. I think what happened is you have the Freemason connection, the Shakespeare connection, and then maybe loose connections in these ciphers to where people are like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already this theory that this dude was ghostwriting.
I was gonna say, it just cracks me up because it's like a theory backpacking on an already backpacked theory.
Yes.
It's like, okay, somebody thinks Shakespeare may have had a ghostwriter, and that hypothetical ghostwriter may have also had alternate versions or unshared manuscripts that he buried deep in an island in Canada, even though that's not where Shakespeare was from or at.
I like it.
It's very random. It is fun.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
It's especially fun because some of Shakespeare's work is said to be cursed.
Yeah.
And so it's like, ooh, that's why it kept flooding, is because Shakespeare's work is down there. Like,
So, do we buy that theory? Probably not, but it is fun to imagine that Shakespeare's lost plays are buried next to pirate bones and cursed gems. Other than that, most people just think it's a sinkhole.
yeah, I will say, after talking about the whole story and hearing the theories, is that it?
No,
Oh,
I was getting into the last one.
okay. I'm sorry. I thought you died. You're like, a lot of people say it's just a sinkhole, but then you stopped. So I was like,
Well, because I kicked the
okay,
table.
like,
No, you're good. Outside of all of that, some people simply think that it's just a sinkhole. There are geologists that believe that the Money Pit is a naturally occurring sinkhole in a patch of porous limestone, and that the layer of wood, fiber, and debris, well, they're just natural junk of remnants from early settlers building tar kilns and salt works. Not a trap, just essentially industrial runoff. Researcher Joy Steele proposed this theory in detail, and it's compelling if a little sad. I mean, if she's right, Oak Island has been a centuries-long misinterpretation of a very elaborate trash pile. I mean, these people were digging for treasure. 6 people died, and you're essentially just poking around in someone's 18th century garbage disposal.
just the old sewer system, the old
They were like, oh, all that shit we have, just
remnants
push it
of
down.
compost
Yeah.
and things. And
Which I can kind of see based on the oddities of objects they've found. But the hole is interesting with the wooden platforms. It
I
does
was
not
gonna
explain.
say the symmetricality of where these platforms are placed. It's like specifically every 10 feet.
Yes.
It's like
No,
that
there's something to it.
shouldn't be naturally occurring. So unless a civilization came in, found people already there, flattened them, and then found new dirt to bury them with and build on top of them, like that wouldn't make sense to me.
No. So that's the last theory we have. I mean, you have pirates, the Knights Templar, empires burying their lost treasure, Shakespeare, and then sinkholes. Honestly, I really don't know. I mean, other than that, there's some wild things. You can always find the alien theories. There's some theories that Vikings stashed some artifacts there, but again, a lot of these things, not much points to it. So they're all just things thrown out there. Like you said, some even say that there's a portal to another dimension underneath the swamp barrier near it.
Of course. That's where the upside down is. I will say, after hearing the whole story, I know I was very cynical in the beginning. I'm like, okay, come on, you guys, it's a freaking well. Shut up. After hearing everything, it is looking like, okay, there could be some merit to some of these theories. Part of me wants to believe the pirate treasure theory, but I also don't believe that pirates would have known how to build such an elaborate, like, masonry shaft like that to bury their stuff. I want to believe it's the Knights Templar, but there's, like, not quite enough evidence. Then all the other evidence of that group has been found elsewhere. Like, so I don't know. I mean, it is a tricky one.
Yeah, I don't quite know where
But-
to put my.
I don't know, man. I mean, part of me is still thinking that maybe early Spanish or French or Knights Templar settlers were building some sort of like irrigation system or filtration system or well or even garbage chute type of thing. Or even like a fishing device. Like I feel like that is the most logical answer. And like, yes, some artifacts have been found, some remains have been found. But it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if people have obviously been there. So you've found some signs that people have been there. None of those signs actually say or specifically point to a treasure is buried. It's just people telling themselves, oh, what if? What if there is a treasure?
Yes.
There could be.
I think, if anything, if I wanted to put a nice little conspiracy throw on it, the bodies that they found that were from European and Middle Eastern descent, from around like the 1600s or 1700s, at the bottom of the hole, you have pirates operating in the area confirmed at this time. I feel like, if anything, it was pirates, probably on the run from the law, getting closer and closer to the era where piracy was over, at least in that type of fashion. And they just made it to Oak Island. You had this crew of all these different men that were picked up from all these different ports, all these different areas. You probably had a captain that was like, we're going to build the stash, essentially, so that if some of us get picked up, we know where to go. They ended up building this deep, complex system, staying on the island for a few weeks, just focusing everything, and then those 2 men died. Maybe the flooding was almost...
Maybe they didn't realize the flooding was going to
I was about
happen
to say,
because
maybe
they
it wasn't
arrived in
intentional.
low tide.
Because some people
the
did point
seasons
out later on
changed.
there were investigations into the tide, and
Yeah.
there are people that believe that it's all just naturally occurring. Like, that wasn't built. They were supposed to be built that way.
Yeah, where it's like as they built it, the tides started affecting it. And they were
Exactly.
like, oh shit.
And I think they just abandoned it. And that's why you
Yeah.
have some artifacts. Like, there's some things on the island because people, like you said, people were there. But if I wanted to put like a nice little bow tie on it, I think that's all it was. I think those 2 men were probably part of that crew. They died down there.
Yeah. Or perhaps they were hostages that were executed by the
Yes,
crew.
yeah, whatever, yes.
Something like that. But
Um,
yeah, it's like, okay, so
And I think that
you found evidence of people. There's no actual evidence that there was ever a
a treasure, no.
buried here or that any of this was a real booby trap
Yes.
and not just, well, there's holes in the island and we're surrounded by ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Oceans be moving and water flows through holes and stuff.
Exactly.
So doesn't necessarily mean there's something supernatural or cursed at play.
So, on some final thoughts here. After more than 2 centuries of digging, drilling, collapsing shafts, and recovering artifacts, the mystery of Oak Island remains just that, a mystery. It's a story built on layers. You have a shaft lined with oak platforms every 10 feet, flooded tunnels engineered centuries before modern plumbing, if they were even engineered, cryptic symbols, bone fragments, parchment scraps, and medieval crosses, hints of gold, whispers of curses, and a rising tide that always comes back. People have died here, fortunes have been spent, and more has been lost than found. And yet, the digging still continues. Is there something down there? Maybe. Is it treasure? Is it knowledge? Or is it just the echo of human obsession? A monument to how far people will go for the promise of a hidden truth. Whatever Oak Island is hiding, it's done a masterful job of keeping it hidden. And in the process, it's created one of the most enduring legends in the Western world. A real-life labyrinth that pulls in dreamers, scholars, thrill seekers, and skeptics alike. Maybe someday, the island will finally give up its secret. Or maybe the real story of Oak Island was never about what's buried in the ground, but what people are willing to bury their own lives chasing. So, do you think there's a treasure underneath Oak Island? No, me neither. Again, even in my conspiracy, like, throwing out there, I don't think they ever left the treasure.
I don't think that there's a treasure. I just don't. Like...
I'm sorry, Rick and Martin, or whatever your name was, the brothers. I'm sure you guys are good guys. But no. That's what we're going to...
I do not buy it.
So now we're going to move on to Date Night Debrief. Because that was it. That's the story. And we're going to keep it a little short because we've kind of ran a little long with the story. There's a lot to cover here. I mean...
Yeah, this was 200 years worth of
active
happenings.
Digging and researching and finding things. So there's a lot. But, I mean, it does kind of suck that at the end, we're both just like, after 200 years, I think you guys are digging.
Yeah,
for nothing.
Think you guys are all wasting time.
It's an interesting story to piece together, whatever did happen.
Well, and like I said earlier, we are still discovering bits and pieces of history and knowledge and maybe piecing together things about early migration and settlements of cultures. But I don't think it has anything to do with a treasure hunt. I just think that it's like a normal historian excavation of artifacts. And they're all just thinking it's a treasure hunt. Or hoping.
So we're just going to jump straight into the question. I just have a quick question, and then we'll end it at that for Date Night Debrief. So, if I suddenly told you I was cursed and that 6 people had already died trying to date me before you, would you stick around to be lucky number 7, or would you nope the fuck out immediately?
I would simply call bullshit.
What if I pulled out, like, obituary?
See, this is the thing. This is a very hypothetical
Yes,
scenario.
it has to be hypothetical. Like,
This is very hypothetical because we got together so young.
okay, let's say I said
Like,
3 people. Like, you can put
okay,
that in the past.
I still just wouldn't buy it. I'd be like, okay, like, look, babe, I think you need to go to therapy. I think you need to talk about why you're unable to cope with the loss and grief and bad luck you've had.
So if I'm ever in a...
I would literally not believe that there's a correlation. I'd be like, this is coincidence and it sucks and I understand why you think you're cursed. But I would just be like,
What if I was like...
it's not a curse, babe.
What if
Like,
I was really convincing? Like, I told you the story of, like, I was in Thailand and a woman in a cave told me that I would be cursed, and ever since that day my life has felt off. Like, because imagine, like, I'm thinking the Ring movie, you know, like, it only affects the person it's happening to, so everyone thinks they're crazy, so they try to tell people, they're like, this is happening to me, and everyone's like, they do exactly what you
That's
just said.
true.
They say go to therapy, or they put them in a loony bin.
Well, then I guess that means I would stick around and I would fuck around and find
Fuck around
out,
and
right?
find out.
Like, I'm not gonna leave you because I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I don't believe you. So we're gonna calm you down.
We're gonna go to therapy together. and we're gonna
Or
work
I
this
guess
out.
I'm gonna die. Whatever fucking happens first.
Yeah, you know, when I guess now that I'm reading this question, it just kind of makes whoever is the cursed person a dick.
Yeah, it's like, first of all, if you knew this was a thing,
Yeah, and you're...
why did you start dating me?
Why did you date to set? Not even...
And then wait until we were married
Yes,
to tell me that I'm gonna die from this.
all of that 100%. But why did you date 7 people? If you knew you had this curse where it was like, everyone's gonna, like, just stop.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's
doing
not.
After the third time,
Yeah, like, after the first,
you'd be suspicious and not like,
if I was actively cursed, like I said, like in the situation
Yeah.
of a cave,
well, and you're
woman.
actively with the person when they like you're still a couple every time they die.
Yes.
It's not like, oh, all my exes have died. That's creepy.
like,
No.
why would you just keep... So yeah, cool. I would believe you. I'd go full, like, sidekick mode. I'd be like, we gotta figure out how to break the curse.
We gotta figure out how to cheat death.
Yeah.
What if we become a throuple and we could pass the curse on to someone who's not me?
Well,
and
there we
then
go.
We get to stay together happily ever after.
It's not an invitation.
No, do not message us about joining our marriage. We're not into that.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Be sure to come back every other week for a brand new episode and a brand new mystery.
We hope you enjoyed tonight's story and mystery. And don't forget, you can send us love notes, questions, curiosities, information you may have adding to our cases, or even episode ideas of your own. Our email is mysterydatepodcast@gmail.com. And if you are sending an episode idea, please leave episode idea in the subject line so we can find it easily.
Also, be sure to share this podcast with your friends or even your enemies. It helps us out so much when you guys share our episodes and when you like them and when you comment. All that stuff goes a long way, and we definitely notice it. So thank you. And be sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening to us, because you're never going to miss an episode that way. Every time we post one, it'll show up right in your feed, and you can listen to our beautiful voices right then and there.
And while you're at it, follow us on social media as well, at Mystery Date Podcast. You can find updates about the show and our life on there, and check out our website.
Oh, that's where I got stumped up. Yeah, check out our website. You can leave us a
Yes.
voice message. You can check out all of our blog posts from all of our episodes. All of our past episodes are on there. You can see our faces if you want to watch the videos. While that stuff's available on YouTube, it helps out going to our website as well. So we'd like to see you guys there. Send us a voice message. We might listen to it at the end of this show. That'd be nice.
You can get your own voice on an episode.
Yeah. But that's all. So be safe and have a great rest of your day or night.
And remember,
Every
every
good
good mystery
mystery deserves
deserves
a
a
date.
date. Bye.
Bye.